There's a recent report that indicates that 71% of anti-Semitic incidents in the United States last year were committed by right wingers, which I don't think comes as a surprise. Comes as a surprise to most people. And this came up during my debate about free speech with Tim Pool on our YouTube channel earlier this week, which, by the way, is now archived on YouTube. I encourage you to watch it. There's some interesting stuff in there. And it's important to understand that not all anti-Semitism is on the right, but according to Anti-Defamation League data, about 71% of anti-Semitic incidents last year were committed by right wingers. Also, not surprisingly, there's a new report out which exposes that there are neo-Nazi networks within the United States military. This also is not going to be a surprise to many people. Independent media outlet Unicorn Riot published an investigation which found that there are 11 specific members of a group called Identity Europa, Europa with a V instead of a U as the second letter, which is a neo-Nazi organization. It's operating in the U.S. military, and there are specific members that they know of who are currently in the United States military. Unicorn Riot and HuffPost found that plenty of people who spend their free time posting anti-Semitic memes and praising Adolf Hitler on the internet currently are members of the United States military. Now, the investigations actually name some names, and some of the individuals are relatively high ranking, including a lieutenant colonel who's a doctor in the Army Reserves, as one example. And a few months ago, at the end of 2018, ProPublica did their own investigation and exposed that there's another neo-Nazi network with members in the military. It's a group called the Atomwaffen Division, which focused on or focuses on recruiting on college campuses and distributing flyers. And members of the Atomwaffen Division have been implicated in 5 murders in the last 2 years. Now, some of their members have been tied to plots to bomb synagogues and nuclear power plants, and they have active members who are currently in the United States military. And none of this really is news, right? There was a poll from the Military Times a few years ago where 25% of military members said they encountered white nationalism in the ranks. And that number is probably higher, but I would understand that there are probably some people in the military that don't want to admit that they've encountered white nationalism in the military. So it might seem sort of obvious that an organization that lets you carry guns, it might let you go to war, maybe you'd get to kill people, that would attract violent fascist elements of society. So in a sense, it is obvious, but it's not just the military that's at issue. It's really a cultural issue. And what I mean by that is, if you look at other countries, yes, the military is a job where you carry guns and maybe you get to kill people, and that's more likely to appeal to violent fascist elements. But the culture surrounding war and masculinity and all of these other issues works as a sort of exacerbating factor in the United States, where you have a huge contingent that supports aggressive foreign policy. You've got the problem of our relationship to guns. You have lack of access to mental health. You have right now a president whose rhetoric has inflamed this type of violent ideology. So, of course, you end up with a military that contains these extreme elements. And my point is, even if the military in some general way is more likely to attract people predisposed to violence or to wanting to have the opportunity to maybe kill people or shoot people, it doesn't actually have to be as bad as it is in the United States. The military does provide opportunities to people who might be lacking opportunities, but it also provides opportunities to people with a masculinity complex, to people who have these extreme beliefs in their country's supremacy or their race's supremacy. And to the military's credit in the U.S., they do have formal prohibitions against service members participating in these groups. Of course, they don't catch everybody, and that's really the issue. We have enough problems with the engagements that our presidents choose to involve our military in. We don't also need to aggravate that with extremist fascists inside of the service. And the results of this study are very, very concerning.